Today on the channel, we're back at it with another 2025 countdown video, and we got a fan favorite here today in the top 5 peg warmers of 2025.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another best of, or maybe worst of, 2025 video. As today, we got a top 5 list, and we're counting down my top 5 peg warmers of 2025. What do I see out there on the pegs for things that I collect that have been there way too long? And you could almost call this the Lando Calarissian Award, as Lando taking the top spot many a years in this countdown. Our old friend Rio as well, Roadblock, some of the all-time peg warmers of the last 5 years, I guess, as we've been doing this on the channel here. And peg warmers gonna vary. Obviously your mileage may vary, and it's a weird time frame now compared to just a couple of years ago, as for the most part things turn and burn pretty fast at retail, and if things don't sell, they clearance them out and get rid of them. Especially at Target, they don't let stuff sit around for an abnormally long time anymore, so we don't see some peg warmers that go on forever and ever. Now, one thing I want to make note of here each and every year, a lot of people will say, hey, the AEW Jazzwares Kenny Omega Walmart exclusive is a peg warmer. Yes and no. We got to remember that those ship in full cases, and there's other toys that are like this at Walmart, Target, all points in between. They ship in a case of just their figure, and they are destined to be on the shelf for 3 months, if not 4 months at a time. They're earmarked to be in that spot. They're a Walmart exclusive. So you go there, you see that Omega each and every single day for that quarter, that 4 months, whatever it may be. Not necessarily a peg warmer, it's doing what it's supposed to do. So you got to take some of that into account. It's some of those figures that sit longer than normal. So if that Kenny Omega's there a year later, now we can say, hey, this guy's a real peg warmer. And we've had a lot of those instances here, but it's a little harder to get the peg warmers. And this year is different than the last 4 years, at least in my book, as it's not as clear cut for everybody. I think there's going to be some people on here on this countdown I have where they're saying, I never really saw that figure around. And that could be your case on some of these, vice versa, and back and forth, because things didn't sit around this year. Most of the time they got clearanced out, except for a few old friends along the way. And once again, this is my list. Put your list in the comments down below. Start at number 5, work your way to number 1. Number 1 being the number 1 peg warmer of 2025. And it's quite the list this year, but it's a little harder to do than years past. And just remember, your mileage may vary based on your area. This is based on my area, what I see traveling about 9 states for stuff. And I also want to put that asterisk on there. Somebody might say, well, there's a Hot Wheels figure, or there's a Mario Jakks figure that's been out there forever. Well, to me, I don't collect those lines. I don't pay attention to those lines, so they're obviously not going to be on my list. So I want to put that. There could be some crazy peg warmer I don't know anything about, but I don't pay attention to it, so it's not in my wheelhouse. So I want to take that into consideration as well. And I know every year somebody says, like, the Marvel Legends kind of goes to this. There's the Marvel Legends at Target that sit on that end cap. It's Captain America, Spider-Man. They're always there. They're supposed to be there all the time. So you can't really count those either. I know people say, well, that's there all the time. Well, it has to be. It's part of it. It's not a true peg warmer yet. Not saying it won't be in the future when those come off planograms. So little long-winded, want to set the table here for what we're going to digest. But now it's time to kick it off at number 5. We begin the peg warmer countdown here at number 5, and this time we take a trip to Target. Normally beautiful this time of year, and it's not going to be just one figure, it's an entire line, and we've seen this the last couple of years as this line does peg warm, but it goes back to what I said at the top a little bit. It's supposed to peg warm for a while. There's supposed to be a window, it's on the shelf, but every time it goes past that window and we go down to deep clearance, and every single time, every single figure, I say, man, if I would have waited, I could have probably got this for $6.89. What are we talking about? We're talking about the Target exclusive WWE Elite Legends line, a line that's went on a lot longer than a lot of us anticipated. I don't know about you guys, but I'm here for it. It's one of my absolute favorite lines Mattel does. That being said, we get a lot of deep cuts in there, and we get a lot of clearance in that line. Historically, not a good thing for anybody trying to sell your wares at Target if everything constantly goes to clearance. And possibly one of the worst ones that we've seen so far is the current one that's on the shelf with Sean, Razor, Diesel, and the Diesel Chase, of course, and that whole line. That Legends series is not moving at all in any of my targets. I'm playing that long game to get a set at clearance. That's never good, but we see that with pretty much every Target Legends line. If you're patient enough, you can wait, you can get it on clearance. And unfortunately, Target has trained the wrestling consumer, the wrestling buyer of this, and I hear it all the time in the comments, well, I'm not going to jump on, I'm going to wait until it goes down to $7, $8, $12, whatever that magical number is for somebody. They're going to wait, they're going to play that long game, and it's not good if you train the consumer to that, if they don't view it's worth paying full retail because they have full faith they're going to clearance. I don't know. It's a bad scene all around, but it is a fun line. It is a very popular line for me personally, but the number 5 peg warmer of 2025 for me is the WWE Legends Target exclusive series. We continue the countdown at number 4, and number 4 is a guy that could be on the Peg Warmer Hall of Fame, an all-timer here on the channel. One of my absolute favorite characters that's not a hairy bipedal creature in the Star Wars universe. Number 4, we're going to the vintage collection. We're going to Lando Calarissian, and we should almost name this top 5 countdown of the peg warmers every year the Lando Calarissian Award, because he has been a peg warmer for a long time in multiple form factors, and this is a Hall of Famer if there ever was one. Now, that being said, I fully anticipate this to finally drop off the list. I think he's been on the list the last 4 years, either at the top spot or somewhere in between, but I do envision him dropping off this year as he's getting a little bit fewer and far between as of late. I still see him around in any store that's carrying vintage collection. They got a Lando or 10 sitting on the pegs there. And one thing that really hurts this line is the price jump. Of course, price increases across the board in the action figure game. Nothing that harder to swallow than the vintage collection line from Star Wars, as those have went up just ungodly based on the size and what you get out of them. I feel bad for vintage collection collectors. There we go, easy for me to say. I had to bow out about a year ago on that collection. It just got too costly for what I was getting. Had to vote with my wallet, and a lot of people have done that since. And unfortunately, with the price point, the price increase, Lando went up in price in like all my Walmart stores. So I don't see it moving. However, I'm not sure he can make it another year, but we'll wait and see what happens. But the vintage collection, Lando Calarissian, comes in at number 4. We've hit the halfway point of the countdown. You got your list together. Put it in the comments down below. But number 3 is an interesting one, as it's honestly one of my favorite figures of 2025. Unfortunately for my area, once again, I can only speak for my area, what I see and where I go in my toy hunting. I'm not on the Carolinas. I'm not in the East Coast, West Coast, anything like that. I'm here in the Midwest, about 9-state traveling for work on a regular basis. But unfortunately, number 3, as much as I like this one, he has went down to deep clearance, and I think I bought, between me and my dad, maybe 6 of these for our personal collections because we like the figure so much. But just because we like it doesn't mean it's not going to be a peg warmer, unfortunately. Where are we going? We're going to NECA. We're going to the Ardeth Bay, aka the Mummy line, Universal Monsters, whatever you want to call it. It is Ardeth Bay, who originally started out pretty hot at Walmart. He was on those end cap, those like shippers full of monster stuff. He was on there, he was full price, but he did not move, and he went down and down and down, and as cheap as I saw him was $8 on clearance. I still walk the clearance aisles at Walmart here, and I still see him hanging around the clearance aisle, usually around $10 to $15. Just very unfortunate to see what's happened to our friend Ardeth Bay, but he is a mummy, and I guess he's going to try to go as far as the mummy did once upon a time and see how long he can be on the pegs. But this is a perfect example of the turn and burn in the deep clearance game, dropping these guys out. We saw that a little bit here, but here we are about 9-10 months. What is time once again? And he's still in the clearance aisle in a lot of stores and even at some other retailers now at full price, which once again, not moving very well. So one of those things where I like it a lot, but the average Joe doesn't like it a lot. My dad does though, so there we go. It's worth something. But unfortunately, Ardeth Bay going to come in hot at number 3. The countdown continues at number 2, and I'm going to ask you guys to get your list together. Make sure you put it in the comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe to both my YouTube channels for reviews every single day and all points in between. Appreciate the support over there. And we got a ton of best of and worst of countdowns to finish off 2025. But here we are at number 2, and number 2 is a strange one in more ways than one. We're going to our friend Todd McFarlane on the couch. Todd, good to have you here today. Good so you can see this live in person here. As number 2, we're going to the McFarlane DC Collector's Edition line, and I think a huge problem with the peg warming in some of these figures is the price point, jumping up to $35 when honestly they feel like they should be $22, $23. I said it, but this one here, peg warming at a lot of Walmarts around me and a lot of Targets, and on my travels I see the same thing. I even see the platinum version peg warming, which seems a little crazy. Who are we going to? Well, we're living in strange times like the Young Moody Blues. We're going to Adam Strange DC Collector's Edition. Not super familiar with Adam Strange. We unboxed both of them on the channel. A good enough figure for what it is. Does it feel like it's worth the price point? Apparently not, because it's peg warming all over the place. It's clogging up the Target DC Collector's Edition section over by the NECA stuff, and we see it at Walmarts all over the place as well. Just a tough go on that figure. Just not enough meat on the bone. Not the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Whatever you want to use, Todd McFarlane. But Adam Strange having a tough go out there. Hopefully they clearance this one down, because I feel it has stopped a lot of the other DC Collector's Editions from coming out to retail because of him, because of Dark Archer, and even that Batman with the molded cape. Just some tough times in those DC Collection Editions. Sometimes they're amazing figures that you never see, and sometimes, like Adam Strange case, they sit there and they rot on the pegs for a long time. Adam Strange going to be number 2 in the top 5 peg warmers of 2025, which means, like a young Highlander, there can only be one. What is the peg warmer of 2025? Well, stay tuned. Here we are, we're at the number 1 peg warmer of 2025, an exciting countdown, one of the most popular countdowns, as we all got our own peg warmers, and I'm going to ask you guys again, put your list in the comments down below. Would love to hear what's peg warming in your area compared to mine especially. I'm sure there's some crossover, but there's probably some differences as well. But here we are at the number 1 selection, and number 1 is a guy we know all too well. One of the greatest friends of the channel, one of the greatest movie stars of all time, and this time he went over to Hasbro, and he's been on the shelves for years at this point, and there's no sign of him leaving. He's dwindling a little bit, but also the dust is getting thicker. We got about 2 inches of dust at him at every Walmart, even a couple of Targets, which a little fewer and far between in this day and age, but he's definitely at the Walmarts. You see him at about every GameStop you go to. Now that Toys R Us is back open in a couple of my areas, I see him over there as well. You see him at every toy show you go to. I even see him at Jay's Toys and Games when I go to their stores, and he's caked in dust there as well. It's the dustiest figure of all time. It's the Peg Warmer Hall of Fame. It's the Peg Warmer champion. We're going to Hasbro. We're going to Star Wars Black Series for our friend Lando Calarissian once again. Cape season, may it never end. I love seeing Lando. You watch my toy hunt videos, it always puts a smile to my face. I love joking about Lando because most of the time, let's be honest, you go on a figure hunt, you don't find anything. Little things like finding Lando or little side quest missions you do on your fig hunt. And it's great to see Lando, and I love it. There's one of my Walmarts where I always put Lando back on the front. If you've seen my fig hunt, you've seen this. I always put him back in the front peg, and somebody always puts him up on the top stock. I don't know who is doing this. Somebody's playing shenanigans with me, but I love it. Keep doing it. It's part of the excitement on the toy hunt there. But Lando, like I said, once again, a favorite character of mine, a favorite figure of mine from Star Wars, but for whatever reason, either overproduced or, I can't believe it, he's not resonating with the audience. I don't believe that, but Lando taking the top spot once again. Might as well call this the Lando Calarissian Award, as I mentioned earlier. He's got 2 spots on the top 5 countdown. I don't get it, but it is what it is. I calls it like I sees it, and Lando Calarissian takes the top spot for 2025 once again. And there it is. That's my top 5 list of the peg warmers of 2025. We'd love to hear your list. Would love to see your list in the comments down below. Let me know. Make sure you put them in order. That's the hard part. That's the fun part. And as I mentioned earlier, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Got 2 YouTube channels with videos every single day. Check out Sir Paul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, The Kyle Peterson Show at gmail.com, and The Kyle Peterson Show podcast, available where podcasts are found, with video cast on YouTube. And don't forget Patreon YouTube channel memberships for early access to everything we do on the channels and to support the channel as well. So for the top 5 peg warmers, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.
Well, are we gonna dance or are we gonna play?
See you later!